Good afternoon. My name is Enrique Yon, and today I'll be presenting on homelessness. My candidate number is 1072. The problem of homelessness has plagued countries for years. There have been many debates now on how to deal with this global issue. However, depending on the country, homelessness may not be a large issue. In India, homelessness is a massive issue. However, this may not be the case for a country like the United States. Different countries have had different amounts of time and resources dedicated to the issue of homelessness. The United States, for example, may have dedicated a different amount of resources than India. This, however, is not to say that the issue should be ignored in any country. As a matter of fact, it is crucial that the issue is addressed as soon as possible. Putting aside how large of an issue it can be, in certain countries, for some people, being homeless is a matter of life and death. These people can die from exposure depending on where they may be. This issue is not limited to people with no homes, it can also be extended to people with very poor living conditions. Starting with local homelessness, the country, United States, and specifically the East Coast, will be referenced. The US in total has 533,700 homeless people. In the East Coast, the US has the lowest homeless population in the country. However, it is still important to address the issue, as a high population resides on the East Coast of the US. The East Coast mainly consists of all the states within the Atlantic coast of the United States. The homeless population is less than 10 per 10,000 people, as can clearly be seen on the figure. And New York City has the highest homeless population from the East Coast, with a total homeless population of 80,000 as of 2018. Comparing local to global homelessness, the US barely compares to India, which has about 1.8 million homeless people. 53% of Indians in base urban areas, which is 73 million Indians, lack access to decent housing. This is compared with the US's 42% in base urban areas. As can be seen, the numbers have a great gap between them. Both of these countries are different, however, and have different causes for homelessness in their country. India, for example, 53,700 houses were demolished by the government authorities as of 2017. This evicted 260,000 people from their homes. Furthermore, about 2.9 million people were displaced due to natural disasters and violence as of 2018. The US is not greatly affected by these problems. However, the US has had more time to deal with these problems compared to India. India was controlled by the British Empire from the 17th to 20th century. The country became independent in the year 1947, and it was after its independence that the country could really focus on this issue. However, due to internal problems, the country has not been able to address homelessness until recent years. Both the governments of India and the US can do many things to address the issues at hand. The government, for example, can provide federal housing for the homeless, along with programs and funding to maintain housing. These programs would be ongoing until a homeless individual would no longer require aid. The US has programs like this. The Public Housing Program or Permanent Housing in New York City are such programs. Along with these programs, governments can construct more affordable housing to accommodate the homeless population. India's state of eastern Odisha, for example, has begun a massive construction project that will have 20 million urban and 30 million rural housing by 2022. Another form of government aid is relocation. State or federal governments can relocate homeless people to new areas where they could be provided for. New York City has relocated thousands of homeless people across the entirety of the United States. A counterargument that some would propose is that governments would not be able to solve the issue of homelessness by themselves, as it may have more pressing issues, or simply that the government can devote resources to something else. However, there are different levels of government. Local to state governments oversee their respective parts of the country. In this way, they leave the federal government to oversee the entire country. These different levels of government would be able to work in unison to lower the homeless population in their respective areas. Also, homelessness is an important issue as no matter which country it's in, devoting resources to homelessness must and should be a top priority of the government. If the government does not devote resources, then it ensures that its country's population will live a hard life of suffering. Also, the government is not the only part of the country that can address the issue. Nonprofit organizations, along with private companies and local schools, can help address the issue of homelessness. Along with the government, private companies can assist by dedicating a portion of their profits into funding public housing. Schools can set up programs that would help homeless children and their families. Local communities, churches, or nonprofit organizations can establish homeless shelters. These shelters may provide aid such as food or financial support. As can be seen, the government may have support from these sources, so it would not be alone. There is no excuse for lowering homelessness, as it is an issue that should and can be addressed by everyone within their country.